So what's better, vegetables or meat? Plenty of people nowadays decide to become vegan or decide to go completely carnivore, but do they actually know why they're doing one or the other? Well, I'm here to find out what is actually better, vegetables or meat, and why those reasons are. Now, if you've followed me for a little bit, you probably know that I have my own personal biases in this. After all, my entire channel is basically predicated on the fact that you should work out rough and that you should eat in the animal style diet. No, not carnivore, the animal style diet. That's meat, organ meat, fruits, honey, and dairy of the highest quality and of the best variety that's out there. So let's get right into it. My name is Momchil and I'm just the dude that's interested in nutrition, nutrition science, fitness, and fitness science. We eat for two reasons, nutrition and energy. And essentially, energy is a form of nutrition, calories, etc., etc. Now, if the two reasons why we eat are for energy and for nutrition, well, it makes sense that we should be eating the most energetically packed food and the most nutrient-dense food and meals out there. So what are they? Well, meat, especially when you take into consideration the vast different quantities and types of meat, such as organ meat including liver, tongue, and heart, also such as bone broth and regular cuts of meat and sirloin steak, come with practically absolutely every bit of nutrition that your body needs. Now I'm talking minerals, I'm talking vitamins, and I'm talking enzymes, alongside the primary reason why we eat protein, and that is the amino acids. The little proteins that actually help our bodies recover, fight, and age very gracefully. Meat contains everything from zinc, iron, vitamin A, K, B vitamins, to in most cases, all 9 essential acids, making them complete proteins. If you're interested in seeing the objectively best way to eat and how functional fitness should be handled, click the link down below in the description and you're going to find out my basic blueprint of how I lost 24 and then subsequently 6 kilograms of fat and gain more muscle and mobility in the process. More importantly than this, however, meat doesn't come with any lectins, oxalates, or any other kind of anti-nutrients that vegetables tend to come with that essentially stop our bodies from being able to use 100% of the nutrition found in meat. See, one of the biggest issues with vegetables is that they do come with these nutrients. Fiber, for example, binds to certain nutrients, and when it does, it quite literally means that our bodies can't use them. So in many cases, when you're buying pea protein and it says that it has 20 grams of protein, you can assume that your body isn't using all 20 grams. It's probably using 12 grams or even less. For example, you would literally absorb less than half of the iron found in spinach than you would when compared to beef. So yeah, Popeye, not so true. And it kind of sucks because vegetables are absolutely delicious and there's such a wide array of them that can make so many delicious different things. One of the best ways to get rid of the anti-nutrients is to actually cook down the food that you're eating. Now sadly, that also comes with the destruction of certain vitamins and certain minerals that can't last in certain higher temperatures. Iron compared to vitamin A is much more stable at higher temperatures, so it'll last. The bottom line is it's not just about the amount of nutrition found in your food, it's whether your body can actually use it or not. Another point to make is that plants actually come with plant defense chemicals. Now what are those? Where animals can run away from a predator trying to kill them and trying to eat them, plants can't do the same thing. And so what do they do? Well, they create these things called plant defense chemicals. And they're basically the same things as the anti-nutrients, oxalates, lectins, and plenty more. These plant defense chemicals in us and other animals irritate the gut, and so we tend to try to avoid them. Now animals are far more in tune with their instinct, and so they avoid them much better than we do. We eat a piece of chili, it burns our mouths and our assholes, and yet we continue going because we love the pain. Masochism in the human race is that it's abundant. Now, an interesting thing that vegans tend to remark on is that vegetables actually come with quite a high content of protein. For example, for 34 calories, you get about 3.2 grams of protein. Now that is solid. A 10-to-1 protein ratio is practically perfect. A bit less than that, sure. However, it's only minuscule. If you take steak, for example, depending on the cut, you can get 250 calories for 34 grams of protein. Now sure, that's better than a 10-to-1 calorie to protein ratio, but regardless, a 10-to-1 calorie to protein ratio would make broccoli a protein food. Now I'm speaking on this because in a lot of health circles, we already know protein is such an important macronutrient, especially when it comes as a complete protein, including all 9 essential amino acids. It helps us recover, it helps our skin glow, it helps us make more muscle. Protein, I'd argue, is the most important of all macronutrients, and it's the one that you should be optimizing for whatever your lifestyle. However, vegetables do have a couple of caveats that come with it. Namely, you have the anti-nutrient issue, which I've already spoken about. It just means that even though 34 calories of broccoli comes with 3.2 grams of protein, you aren't getting the entirety of that 3.2 grams of protein. You might be getting about 1.8 grams. So that 10-to-1 calorie to protein ratio kind of goes down the drain. But more importantly, the amount of food you would have to eat, physically speaking, is insane. 34 calories of broccoli is roughly 100 grams. This means that for about 130 grams of protein, which is a daily recommended allowance for maybe everybody, you would need to eat roughly 4 kilograms of broccoli in a day. Now, I don't know how much you love broccoli, but I imagine even the most avid broccoli supporters would not enjoy that. Which, in comparison, about 100 grams of steak comes with about 250 calories, which is about 34 grams of protein. All of which is 1, bioavailable, 2, doesn't come with plant defense chemicals, and 3, means that you need to eat only roughly 400 grams of steak to achieve your 130 grams of protein. And since protein is so prevalent, we should also touch on the fact that most plant proteins don't come with A, every vitamin and nutrient that you need, and B, they don't come with the full 9 essential amino acid protein profile that practically every animal protein source does. Eggs, milk, cheeses, meats, they all contain all 9 essential amino acids. It's not that you can't get them from the correct mixture of vegetables, it just means that it's more difficult and you have to eat a wider array of vegetables in order to do so. It's one of the reasons why so many people go on the vegan diet and fail at it. Many people relying on plant-heavy diets also tend to miss out a lot of micronutrients. For example, B12, iron, and omega-3 are in short supply when eating a high plant diet. And so supplementation is absolutely necessary. Which just means that if we weren't in the 21st century where supplementation is accessible, vegan diets simply wouldn't be plausible. These, however, are in extreme abundance within meat itself. Beef, for example, contains over 14,000 different unique micro compounds that make up a little piece of a cow. A supplementation simply can't give you all of these unique compounds. As a matter of fact, we really only know about 150 to 200 of them. And as we know with honey, the medium by which sugar, for example, enters our bodies does change the way we process it. Within honey and fruits, sugar is healthy. Sugar on its own, however, is extremely unhealthy. And this is actually quite ironic. We evolved with animal diets, and yet now we look to supplements in order to provide the things that we need on specific diets that we have the luxury of actually committing to. And then we can take into account basic human biology. We're omnivores. We're meant to eat both things. As a matter of fact, we're not even really meant to eat vegetables, we're meant to eat fruits. Fruits which have a far smaller concentration of anti-nutrients and plant defense chemicals, and usually come with more nutrition. Early people hunted first, foraged second. And yet there's certain evidence to suggest that when humans were first discovered roughly 300,000 years ago, we ate things like legumes and nuts. But again, those really only came second to hunting. Even more interestingly, our ancestors knew the value of meat. Warrior monks, for example, were giving meat, whereas their regular monk counterparts weren't. And so they become religious beefcakes, essentially why you're on this channel in the first place, without the religion. Not only that, we also come with canines. Canines meaning that we are meant to tear apart meat, and our stomach acid levels are about 2 on the pH scale, meaning they're quite acidic, actually more acidic than most carnivores, whereas most herbivores sit above 7, which is neutral. Anyway, I think that you can tell roughly which I prefer. However, I do think that there is a place for vegetables, especially fruits, in our diets. Actually, I think that they are absolutely imperative. The human body cannot thrive without carbs, and vegetables and fruits and honey are the absolute requirements when it comes to eating carbs. It tells our bodies to relax and not be in a state of constant survival all of the time, meaning that we can actually thrive and build what humans have built for the past thousands of years. Other than that, please leave your opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Good luck.